8 months after his alleged meeting with the Burmese executives. So this Burmese, they say, pronounce it Burmese, a real beautiful company.
Early in the morning, they went to the table with the black robe, the black shield, and they pulled out the votes. Those votes were put there a number of hours before.
$7 million for reef fish management. $25 million to combat Asian carp. $2.5 million to count the number of amberjack fish in the Gulf of Mexico.
It's not they don't want to help. They don't know quite what to do. Play the radio. Make sure the television, make sure you have the record player on at night. The phone. Make sure the kids hear words.
Please, Sam, if I could just get the sentence out. Please, Sam, if I could just get the sentence out. We can talk about Jimmy. Jimmy Dore can go and kill 15 kids tomorrow, and I still believe in force the vote.
I liked beer. I still like beer. But I did not drink beer to the point of blacking out.
So notice something. I defended him on his bad joke because I have standards and I have principles.
He was not a loser. He was a patriot, and the people left behind there were heroes. Really? And I resent.
Are you talking about Hunter? Are you talking about Hunter?
I'm talking about my son, Bo Biden. You're talking about.
I don't know Bo. I know Hunter. Hunter got thrown out of the military. He was thrown out, dishonorably discharged.
That's not true. It wasn't dishonorably.
Cocaine use, and he didn't have a job until you became vice president.
He was not a loser. He was a patriot, and the people left like hell.
Hunter? Are you talking about
I'm talking about my son, Bo Biden. You're talking about.
I don't know Bo. I know Hunter.
You're talking about.
I don't know Bo. I know Hunter.
I don't know who created Pokemon Go, but I'm trying to figure out how we get them to have Pokemon go to the polls.
All of a sudden, we can't talk about Neanderthal DNA anymore.
Everybody comes in, your grandmother,
They felt pretty comfortable after day 2.
All of a sudden, we can't talk about Neanderthal DNA anymore.
Really, how many people do that? You mean they moved out and then they said, "Ah, the hell with it, I'll move back in"? You know, it doesn't sound like a very normal. You mean they moved out and what? They missed it so much that they wanted to move back in? Yeah, it's crazy.
Well, oh, seriously, hot. So I've been eating. Oh, seriously, hot. So I've been eating a lot of hot sauce, a lot of.
Watch Hillary examine the terrain. Watch a campaign with the man Tim Kaine. Tim Kaine in the membrane.
You know, the truth of the matter is that when you look at some of my policies, in a lot of ways, Richard Nixon was more liberal than I was.
Hello, users, and welcome to another show. I got a show here, folks. I got a show, and it's here, and it's gonna happen. The show, it's actually happening right now. Not only is it going to happen, but it's actually happening right now. You're in the show. You're experiencing the program. The program is currently a part of your brain. Your brain is now absorbing this information for whatever reason. I can say or do anything. Like, for example, I could clean the smudge off of my glass. I could say or do anything, and you will be there to experience it. That is truly an incredible moment. Imagine that, though. Like, I have complete control over what enters your consciousness at this current moment of time. I've captivated you somehow. I don't even know how, but it is somehow. Max update requested. We got a Max over here. Laying down. Max! He's a sleepy dog. He's a sleepy dog. You can see the ear. Max! Max! Look at his ear. That's his ear. You can see him. So, we also have a show here. But anyway, I got a guest today. I don't know how that's going to go. But we do have a guest. And by we, I mean me. You don't have a guest, but I do. So that's going to be the thing that's occurring. We've got a show planned. So I'm going to get into the protest coverage from yesterday. And then I'm going to maybe do a couple news stories, and then we'll get into the guest segment. I don't quite know exactly what we're going to be ending up talking about. We're probably going to talk about Tucker Carlson or whatever. And other various topics of, we're going to some variety. We're going to get some variety in the stream. We're going to have a variable list of variations. I'm going to provide. Tim Kaine's dead? There's no way Tim Kaine's dead. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Stop it. Motherfucker's in the membrane. He can't die. That motherfucker. Could you imagine Tim Kaine was almost vice president? What a world. What a goddamn world. Yesterday was day 159 of protests in the city of Elizabeth City, North Carolina, and the county of Pasquotank County, North Carolina, over the police assassination of Andrew Brown Jr. that took place on April 21st, 2021. We have been doing daily demonstrations for 159 days in a row. We have not missed a single day. And so yesterday it was just a couple of us, one of us in a vehicle, one of us holding the camera for me because I am on the megaphone and I am screaming and I'm really loud. So we did our typical route of going around the county buildings and the federal buildings downtown Elizabeth City, and there were a lot of people that we interacted with. I was having like some extreme allergic reaction, so I ended up having to take my mask off. As you can see, I couldn't breathe, folks. I couldn't. I was about to die. I don't know. I had some allergic reaction. I was sneezing. I sneezed inside the mask, so then it fell off. And so, because no one else really was there, I decided I'm gonna take the mask off. I'm gonna remove the mask. But anyway, we went again downtown Elizabeth City, and we were pretty loud. A lot of people, heard us. That is the goal, for people to hear what we have to say. And what we have to say is that it is unacceptable for police to gun down someone, shoot them in the back of the head in a school zone at 8:30 in the morning. That is unacceptable to residents in Elizabeth City and residents of Pasquotank County and neighboring counties that sometimes come to support. That is just something we don't. Sorry, I disagree. I don't think that should be allowed. And as a result, we are out here protesting for 159 days in a row. Today will be day 160, and so that's a long time. I don't even know how. That's a lot of. There was a lot going on, folks. There's a lot going on. Also, I just realized that I had a little bit of my OBS is there on the side. But anyway, that's it. I have court on Thursday, so I want to remind everyone I will have an update potentially Thursday on the court case, but also it who knows how that's going to go. But anyway, that's what we did. Day 159. It's in the books. The books have it. It's in the books, and the books are closed. I just closed the books, but I'll open them again tomorrow morning. I got you. How's everyone going? You missed a single day. I missed a demonstration, that is true, but I was doing an alternative form of protest at that time that I will go into more in detail at some point in the future, but I was, in fact, doing something protest adjacent, so it's not like I was chilling at home, like, I don't know, resting. Nah, unfortunately. Oh, they're the county commission appearances, Matt, but thank you. Folks, we got a show. There's a show here that's, that may or may not happen. I've got a gallon of water that I don't need at this current moment in time. But anyway, you know how it is. So there's a show. We've got a show. I've got a show. You don't have anything because you're useless and you have nothing of value in your life, which is understandable. I used to be like you, so I understand how you got there, why you got there, all those things. I get it. Let me tell you, I am right there with you. Except I'm not, because I'm here and you're there and I'm doing a show and you're not. So anyway, folks, we got some really heartbreaking news, folks, and that is, that's right, you guessed it, officer down. More than 300 people are involved in manhunt for a suspect after a Florida sheriff's deputy was shot during a traffic stop. That's right, folks, officer down. We got Nassau County Deputy Josh Moyers died Sunday after being shot early Friday morning, police said. So this is from CNN. Let's read it. Let's see why the officer is down. What happened? Was he walking around with a gun? Maybe. Did he have drugs in his system? It's possible. Did he shoplift when he was 15? I don't know. These are all very important questions. So let's read. More than 300 people are hunting for a suspect accused of shooting and killing a Florida sheriff's deputy during a traffic stop. Nassau County Deputy Josh Moyers was shot twice during a traffic stop in Callahan early Friday morning and died from his injuries Sunday, officials said. It is with great sadness, blah, 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 I don't care. In a press conference Saturday, Leeper said Moyers' family, and I don't care. Police told CNN Friday that the deputy had been conducting a traffic stop around 2 a.m. when he was shot. Now, notoriously, traffic stops are often deadly when police are involved. Typically, it's because cops are the ones shooting at people. Cops are the ones murdering people. Is this a bug? I don't know what that was. But either way, I crushed it with my finger. So as we know, so according to reports, they pulled someone over at 2 a.m, right? Yikes. Like, if you were driving home and someone pulls you over at 2 a.m, right, that's probably pretty sketchy. You don't want someone to pull you over at 2 a.m, so let's just continue. So 2 a.m. when he was shot, he was transported to a hospital. Why was he shot, though? So, okay, so there's a traffic stop, and then he's shot. Seems like there's some missing steps there. This seems like a couple steps are removed from this. It feels like this is an incomplete recounting of events. So you stopped someone, yada, yada, yada. You're ending up dead in the hospital. Who knows? Anything could have happened. The search for the shooting suspect. Are they going to tell us? You basically told us who it is. What happened, though? $35,000 reward. But what happened? What was going on at this traffic stop? Because when someone dies at a traffic stop by the hands of police, we know everything they did in the last 10 minutes. We know, they just come from the grocery store. They had 3 bags of Cookie Crisp in the back seat with, like they had a specific brand of tinfoil that they had. They were going to make dinner with, probably. They had something in the glove box that looked like a gun. They scratched their nose, right? Like, we know all the details when police murder someone. But when someone murders a cop, or rather, when someone kills a cop, we don't know anything. So who knows who the aggressor was in this instance? I just want to say, we don't know until there's body camera footage released. I personally err on the side of everyone but the cop. I think it's more than likely that the cop was the aggressor, because cops are always aggressors. It is very unlikely for cops not to be aggressors in situations like this. And so it's very possible that the person who shot and killed the sheriff's deputy was acting in self-defense. We don't know until the body camera footage is released. And if there is no body camera footage, then I guess we just don't know. And it's their word against another person's word, who happens to be dead now. So, whoops, right? I don't know. It's not good for the cop out here. Look at this guy. Look at this, like, really cheesy smile. I mean, I can't feel sorry for them. Why would I? They're dead, so they wouldn't feel me if I felt sorry for them anyway. But I also maybe feel sorry for their family, except for the fiance, because, again, 40% of police officers are domestic abusers. So I'm sure that fiance is feeling pretty good right about now, not being abused every single day of her life. But anyway, officer down, folks. Officer motherfucking down? All right. Got a goddamn show, folks. There's a show. It's happening. I'm just looking through Google News. This one's good. Let's watch this. Let's read this, no less. This is an article that I can read. I'm allowed to read this. So, Lindsey Graham, not to be confused with the variety of cracker, emphasis on cracker, says that he hopes Trump runs for president again in 2024. Then we have a photograph of Lindsey Graham. Again, very hard to differentiate between Lindsey Graham, the senator, and Graham, the cracker. It's almost like they're the very same thing. So Senator Lindsey Graham told the gathering of Republicans he hopes former President Donald Trump runs in 2024. I don't think Trump is listening. He might be. I hope President Trump runs again, Graham Cracker said at a leadership conference for Michigan's Republican Party on Saturday, according to the Detroit News. Trump, who has been coy about whether he would throw his hat in the ring, came the closest in acknowledging a run in an interview on Friday. He was asked by David Brody of Real America's Voice Network if he could name a reason he wouldn't. Well, I guess a bad call from a doctor or something. Right? Trump replied, I will say, that happens with people. It does, in fact, happen. That is true. So things happen through God. They happen, Trump added. But I feel so good, and I hate what's happening in our country. Graham, a 2016 Republican presidential candidate, has been a staunch ally of the former president. Who cares? Look at this guy. Look at this motherfucker. Look at this motherfucker. Like, who are these people? Why do they exist? I'm not going to read the rest of this article. And that's all I have to say. That's it. Like, imagine listening to this guy. That's it. I really, there's nothing else that I even need to broach on in the subject. Did you check the clip I sent you? I did not, because I'm a lazy piece of shit and I got drunk yesterday. So I didn't do anything. But anyway, that's it. That's the story. That's Lindsey Graham, folks. Whenever I see Graham in the news, I just like to do the cracker thing. So I don't really care about what he has to say. It's just, I like the pun. That's it. That's all I got. Love puns, folks. I'm a pun fan. So we got 10 minutes and then I'll bring on the guest. What? There is a guest, in fact. I should get that one. I mean, Trump is crazy. That's true. Here we go, folks. 2 in one day. I mean, what is it? My birthday? Officer down, folks. Officer down. That's right. Washington State Patrol mourns trooper who died from COVID-19. That's right, folks. Officer down. The Washington State Patrol is mourning the loss of one of their own. WSP confirmed Sunday with heavy odds, but I don't give a shit. At 38 years old, he leaves behind a wife and 2 sons. Again, 40% of police are self-admitted, or rather, their spouses self-admitted that 40% of cops beat them. So 60% of cops are clearly, beating their wives so well that they're lying about it in the self-admission polling. But again, so leaves behind, more like leaves ahead, a wife and 2 sons. Eric is the 32nd member of the Washington State Patrol family to die in the line of duty in the agency's 100 years of service to the state. I don't think he died in the line of duty. I don't understand this thing where cops are trying to say, oh, died of a virus. Line of duty. No, you didn't die in the line of duty. You died because you're a dumb bitch. You probably got the virus while you're at the grocery store because you're a fucking moron. You didn't die in the line of duty. You passing out dead in a fucking hospital bed. You are not lying. Like that, you are lying in the line of duty. More like, since he was first hired in 2005, don't care. WSP said Gunderson contracted COVID-19 when he was out on one of these trips. I don't care. Probably not true. State authorities said planning for a memorial service will be underway following guidance from the family. If you refuse to get vaccinated, I'm sorry, you're dumb. You're dumb. And I hope you are dumb. I'll leave it at that. Officer down, folks. Look at this guy. Look at the stupid hats they wear. Like, seriously, imagine walking around with that hat on and going like, please respect me. This guy fucking got a bow tie. Seriously, what is this, fucking 1961? Like, what is this? What are you trying to do here? It's like 1954. I don't know why this outfit even exists. I don't know why you didn't get a free vaccine. That's also very bizarre that I don't understand. But either way, officer down in Washington, folks. So, there you go. I mean, what are you going to do? What is this, Blues Clues? It might be. Officer motherfucking down. All right, folks, I'm going to bring on the guest. See what we got going on here. We got some shit that we're talking, like we're gonna discuss some stuff. We're gonna have some stuff up for discussion. We're going to discuss some stuff, and we'll see how it goes. So let me move. I got that. I got to do this. This is the live production. You know, most shows don't show this, but mine does because this is a live production. I'm producing this live. Hello? Is this thing on? Can you hear me?
I can.
All right. I'm going to raise your volume a little bit. Okay.
I hear you. I hear an echo. I seem to hear you twice saying 2 different things.
Do you have like my stream on? Is that possible?
Oh, yes, I do.
There we go.
Apologies. Good morning. I'm ready to talk about some stuff.
All right. We got some stuff lined up. So would you like to introduce yourself to the audience? Who are you? Why should we be listening to you? Explain why the viewers should not click off of the stream. Like, that is your job right now.
Sure. My name is Jason Kishineff. I ran for Congress a couple times and city council in American Canyon, California. And I would like to tear our system down and build a new system that works for everyone.
All right. I like that. we follow each other on Twitter, though. I follow a lot of people, so you follow a lot of people, I follow a lot of people.
Oh yeah.
And we have people that follow both of us. And they had you and someone else had an interesting conversation, and I don't remember how, but I got roped into it. And so now you're on the show. There's apparently a disagreement of some kind between you and someone that I may agree with more than you, on like whether or not the Fred Hampton Leftist podcast is a good group of people, and also whether or not Tucker Carlson is a racist or a white supremacist. Would you like to what do you want to talk about first? And what would you like to what's your position on these?
We can get right into that, and actually, Jackson Hinkle also did a show on people have been trying to smear Nick Cruz from Fred Hampton Leftist and Jimmy Dore. So we're in the mainstream conversation of the non-mainstream.
There you go. I'm glad to be. I'm a sellout at this point. I'm selling out. But yeah, I don't like Jimmy Dore, and I don't like Nick Cruz. I didn't even know his last name was Cruz. I don't like either of them. So that's my position. But what is your position?
Okay. So I am a radical leftist, and I like Nick Cruz very much, and I like Jimmy Dore very much. Although I definitely get why people get mad at him for getting angry at their heroes, because he's angry, as I think we all should be, and he doesn't hold back.
All right. See, my thing is I would also identify as a radical leftist. I am both radical. I'm also rad, but that's a whole thing. I'm also a leftist.
You sure are.
I try my best. But yeah, I personally think that Jimmy Dore is doing a net disservice to the left when it comes to building power, because I understand and agree with a lot of his criticisms of Democrats. I think most Democrats are awful, but I also think that he goes a little bit too hard on AOC specifically, and I don't know what his solution is, because to me, my thing is I don't think politicians are going to save us. I don't think that they're going to enter Congress and give us Medicare for all because we elected one member of Congress. Bernie Sanders in 2020, I think was the best shot that we had of having a government that works for anyone, that's not a corporate, donor. And Jimmy Dore didn't even support Bernie Sanders. So, I mean, to me, that's where I stopped paying attention to him.
Jimmy Dore did support Bernie Sanders. He just liked Tulsi Gabbard more, I believe.
Okay.
He definitely does. He definitely is willing to criticize even politicians that he supports when they are not holding to his standard, and I think that's how we all should be. But you're right. He does go hard on AOC. That is indisputable.
Yeah, I just think the focus, though, that's my thing. It's like, for me, my general way that I view the world when it comes politically is I want people to stop thinking that politicians are going to save them. To me, I think that we should all go outside and do community organizing. We should protest. We should, do mutual aid work. We should build unions. We should, do all that kind of stuff. That's my political purview. I don't think Jimmy Dore really does any of that, though. Now, again, I don't watch his show religiously. I used to watch his show a couple years ago, but I don't anymore. But to me, all I've been seeing, he's also been doing this weird anti-vaccine stuff that's really bizarre to me. I don't quite understand that.
That's not true.
That's not true?
He's not anti-vaccine. He's vaccinated. He actually had, what do they call it? The long-term symptoms of COVID. He actually got that from the vaccine. And he's calling out the media for calling ivermectin a horse dewormer when it's actually a human medication as well that's been used to help with river blindness and elephantitis. And there's just a lot of disinformation that the media is pushing.
Sure. Recently, though, yesterday, Jimmy Dore had this really bizarre tweet where he was talking about how Norway classifies COVID as a regular influenza or whatever, leaving out the fact that 90% of Norway is vaccinated. And then he went on to say that it's unvaccinated people have totally legit reasons to remain unvaccinated. So I think he's trying to do this both sides thing. As far as ivermectin's concerned, though, a lot of people, especially on the right, are literally taking the horse version. There's been these articles where in a lot of southern states, like calls to poison control are up because people are taking the horse version and they're overdosing, and that's kind of a problem.
Okay, so I want to say that I am not telling anybody that they should be taking ivermectin. That I'm not giving anybody medical advice on anything. But there was a story in Mississippi that said 70% of the cases in the hospital were people that took horse dewormer. But there was actually a retraction that said, oops, we made a mistake. It wasn't 70%. It was 2%. And so the media is blowing this crap out of proportion. And the reason my information is that the reason that these people turn to horse dewormer is because there are apparently trials in India and Japan, and again, I can't swear to any of this, I'm just repeating what I've heard, that say that these countries are having some success with ivermectin, and so people ask their doctors for it, and the doctors refuse to give it to them, and so they sought out a way to get the medication that they thought was being kept from them. And my thinking is if I go into my doctor and I say, hey, I need a cholesterol medication because I'm convinced that this is going to help me. Well, actually, that's not my thinking. I don't think doctors should give cholesterol medication to anybody. But anyway, that's what I hear is happening.
Yeah, I mean, I think my big thing with Jimmy Dore's promotion of ivermectin is that he is not doing the proper amount of nuance like you are suggesting. You are saying there are multiple prongs to this. Ivermectin is not proven to help with COVID-19 in any capacity at this current moment. Now, it can help with some of the symptoms potentially, and it's being studied theoretically. But again, there's been this mass thing, especially in right-wing media circles, like Joe Rogan recently was taking ivermectin. And again, these big media personalities, and I consider Jimmy Dore a big media personality, are talking about these horse dewormer adjacent, but not, again, like you said, it's not just a horse dewormer, but they're talking about ivermectin and not providing that proper nuance. They're not talking about dosages. They're not making a distinction between the horse version and the human version. Like, if Jimmy Dore was prescribed ivermectin for the human version and as a personal medical thing, he's going out there not making that distinction, at least not that I've seen. And so I find that to be problematic. I
think he did. I don't think he told anybody to take ivermectin. I think he gave the same disclaimer that I did. He wasn't giving anybody medical advice. He was just repeating what Joe Rogan said.
Sure.
He was saying that Joe Rogan said he was having success, and he was back a week later.
Well,
I don't think Jimmy said to take it at all.
The antibody treatment or whatever, like the like Regeneron or whatever. So I think, that's like, if I'm gonna pour some solution on a wound and it's like 99% like disinfectant and 1% celery, and then I go out there and say the celery is what did it, I would not be convinced that the celery is what disinfected my wound.
Yeah, I don't really have an opinion on ivermectin. I don't know what to think because there's so much disinformation. I don't know what the truth is. So
well, I can tell you I'm not going to be taking it, but that's just my opinion. And I could be wrong. I don't know how I would be wrong, but I could be. It's very possible.
If you got COVID, even though you were vaccinated and nothing else was helping, you wouldn't seek out trying it?
Probably not.
I think I might just try it. I mean, why not? If somebody told me a cholesterol medication was going to make me feel better and nothing else was, why wouldn't I take a cholesterol medication?
The side effects are the biggest thing. Like, for me, I heard a lot of the side effects are people having problems with their sight, people having visual issues. Now, for me, I already have enough visual issues, as you can see. I probably should clean my glasses. I haven't cleaned them in years. I don't even know how to see anymore.
I saw you clean them earlier.
No, that was just for show. That was a fake cleanse. I didn't even use any of the liquid. You get liquid, I don't have any liquid. I ran out a long time ago. But yeah, I mean, I personally just want to say I do not advise taking ivermectin. I would rather probably do like cannabis edibles, and that would probably have a higher chance of working. But let's move on from ivermectin and Jimmy Dore. I want to talk about Tucker Carlson, because this is the one I found very interesting. Because in the Twitter thread that we had this initial conversation with, you said that Tucker Carlson is not a racist. However, he uses racist talking points.
That is not what I said.
That is not what you said.
That is not what I said.
Okay,
no.
Okay, go. correct the record?
So this conversation started because I had posted a video. I had retweeted Nick Cruz or something like that, and somebody else came on and pretended that Nick Cruz was giving Fred Hampton a bad name because he's working with Jimmy Dore, and Jimmy Dore went on Tucker or some crap like that, and that Fred Hampton at least required the Young Patriots to denounce racism. And so I posted a video of Tucker Carlson saying some people think this show is racist and here's why he thinks his show is not racist. And I was saying that Tucker Carlson would accept that condition and it would have no problem denouncing racism. I personally think that conservatism is racist policy. I think Tucker Carlson has racist policy, but I was saying that he would accept that condition and would have no problem. And therefore, Fred Hampton would totally have worked with Tucker Carlson. And that, if I was invited to go on Tucker Carlson and say, hey, we need Medicare for all, or the military-industrial complex is out of control and we need to stop murdering people for profit. If I was invited on Tucker Carlson to say those things, you bet your ass I would. And, if that doesn't, I'm a socialist bordering on communism. And if people are going to pretend that I'm suddenly a right-winger because I go on Tucker Carlson, that's just insane.
Sure. Now, again, I just want to say openly, Tucker, I know you're listening. Hit me up. I got it. So with that being said,
yeah.
Now I do think there's a lot of misconceptions with Fred Hampton's legacy and working with the Young Patriots organization. Especially at this point in, everyone that exists right now in the United States knows what the Confederate flag's history is, knows that it's a racist symbol, right? Just because of the widespread, especially after 2020. If you're still rocking the Confederate flag in 2021, chances are you're a racist motherfucker. I don't really have it. In 2021, I don't have any time to listen to, it's not hurt. Back in the 1950s and 60s, though, that education was a lot less available. A lot of people genuinely did think it was part of their heritage because of the racist campaigns like the Daughters of Confederacy, trying to rehabilitate the Confederacy and all that kind of stuff. So a lot of people just genuinely were just stupid. Now, one of the big things with Fred Hampton was when he worked with people in these organizations, one of the key roles that he would take is to have them denounce racism, have them denounce their beliefs that they may have believed, or maybe they weren't, maybe they weren't white supremacists, but they had these weird stereotypical things that are, very racist. He would work with them and have them denounce those things before forming a coalition. And I personally feel like Jimmy Dore and the Fred Hampton Leftist Podcast Network are not doing that. I know that Nick Cruz, I guess is his last name. I've never heard his last name before. But Socialist MMA is who we're talking about. I know he's had Boogaloo Boys on his show, and he hasn't asked them to denounce the fact that the Boogaloo Boys as a group want to have a second civil war, and they are actively instigating it. I know that, they do a lot of these like weird, the March for
It's not a race. It's not a racist civil war. It's a civil war of the people against the establishment. It's not white people against black people civil war as in the 1860s. That's just not true.
Sure. Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. But I do think that promoting civil war at this current point in time is let's look at what the lines would be. Like, I don't think I have no reason to believe the Boogaloo Boys would be on the side of Black Lives Matter in a civil war. I believe they would be on the side of the right. I believe they would be on the side of, the Young Patriots, whatever the modern iteration of that would be. I feel like they would be on the side of the KKK. That's my personal opinion.
My best information about the Young Patriots is, and you got to do some reading because there's a lot of articles that say it differently. White supremacists don't just suddenly denounce racism. My information is that the Young Patriots were actually a leftist group that had moved to Chicago from the Appalachian area, and that they didn't actually have to be asked to denounce racism, and that they saw the Confederate flag as a symbol of rebellion. Sure. And the Black Panthers learned to accept the Confederate flag as not accept it that they would fly it, but accept that these people saw the Confederate flag as a symbol of rebellion. It wasn't that they... I think I've said what I was trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah, but I do think one of the biggest things though is the denouncing of those beliefs, right? Like, I don't personally think I think most people that are racist or have racist ideologies or are conservative or are religious, frankly, I think they are thinking those things because of their education and their childhood. I think a lot of people just get stuck believing certain things because they just don't age out of 12-year-old fantasies or what they learned in elementary school or what their pappy taught them. And I think with enough education, some would say re-education, right? I do think that we could convince a lot of people, most people probably, that these things are just not the way to think. Like, again, most people, even a lot of people on the right and Republicans support Medicare for all, for example. So I would rather have that is a good starting point. Yes, Medicare for all, and work from there as a way to maybe deprogram these people before I would want them to be taking up guns and, on my side in some, magical civil war. I don't think a civil war is a good idea. Whatever side the government's on is going to win. There's no way that you can outdo the United States military. I think the idea of having a second civil war is ridiculous. And that's why I think that working with Boogaloo Boys is ridiculous. And that's why I'm a critic of the Fred Hampton Leftist Network.
Well, the thing is if you go to a march for Medicare for all, do you really know what everyone around you believes? I mean, what Magnus told me, Magnus is the Boogaloo boy in question for your viewers' reference. What Magnus told me was not that they were trying to create a civil war, but that they were anti-authoritarian and that the crap is just going down so bad that the government was going to eventually come for them and they were going to be prepared. Now, I'm not taking a position on that at all. But I think that a lot of people just make the assumptions about them, and it's a really decentralized group, and so a lot of those assumptions are not fully inaccurate either. So,
Sure.
It's definitely not my group.
Yeah, I have a lot of criticism with Magnus specifically. I've tried to get him on my show, but he hasn't responded to my messages, unfortunately.
Really?
Yeah.
He's been on a lot of shows. I'm surprised.
I'm also surprised. If you could grease that up, send him a message. I'd love it.
I will do my best.
All right, sounds great. But my criticism is that the Boogaloo Boys are also again, they are a decentralized group, but they're also a decentralized group with a common theme. They're preparing for a second civil war, and so also Magnus specifically has a history of anti-communist remarks. Even, very recently he's made anti-communist remarks. And so I find that to be bizarre that he's entering left spaces while having a history of anti-communism.
Well, I think that there are certain things that the left and the right can agree on, such as like fiscal responsibility. We want our taxes spent on meeting people's basic needs, not on bombing Somalis or Syrians, right? And we, a lot of a leftist position, I think, is against censorship, which I think is something that, those on the right agree. And I think it's not really, he's very clear that he's a libertarian and on the right. So I think it doesn't make sense to expect him to suddenly be a communist because he's not. That's not who he is. But there are things that we can work with him on.
It's possible. I will say it's possible. But me personally, I have a problem with the way that people do interviews with him. If Magnus does come on my show, I'm going to ask him a lot of interesting questions. And I don't mind, my thing is I don't mind if people ask me interesting questions either. But go on.
If he does come on your show, be sure to let me know because I want to make sure I don't miss it, okay?
Oh, yeah, no, I'm sure it'll be great.
Yeah.
But yeah, so... Yeah, my thing is, again, I do think that there is a problematic strain of left-wing podcasters, and I also think the Fred Hampton Network is very problematic because they're using a specific person's legacy and then not doing... me personally, I've got a lot of people I really like. I wouldn't start a podcast called, the Carl Sagan podcast and do, things that he wouldn't approve of. To me, that just seems weird. It seems strange, and it seems appropriating. I'd rather... my podcast is just called Above It All. It's just a name. It's a unique name I came up with. I don't know why they don't come up with their own unique name. At least, Jimmy Dore is calling his show The Jimmy Dore Show, not the Malcolm X Variety Hour. And so, that's my main criticism, but I'm down to shift topics.
I think that their name communicates that they are leftists who are open to working with people on the right who agree with them on certain policies, and I don't see that as conflicting with Fred Hampton's views at all. That's exactly what Fred Hampton was trying to do, right? Work together to mutual aid and let's tear the system down. Put people first.
I mean, it's possible. I feel like the interpretation of and the action of Fred Hampton here, I think that they're not doing a great job on trying to get people to denounce certain ways of thinking. And that's my thing. Like, if I'm going to be inviting Boogaloos on my show, I'm going to try to convince them to become communists, right? Like, I'm going to try to bring them to the left. I wouldn't just interview someone who's a right-winger and then say, like, all right, I agree with everything you say on this specific subject, and let's ignore the fact that, you've done this and you support this and I would just want to bring people to the left. That's my thing. And I'm not entirely convinced that platforming Magnus to the extent that the Fred Hampton Network does is bringing him to the left or bringing other people to the left. I think it's got a higher likelihood that it brings more people to the right in that audience.
I hear you, but Fred Hampton was also really about mutual aid and the Black Panther Party and just helping people, and that's right up Fred Hampton leftist alley. That's exactly what they're doing right now, and they're trying to organize a general strike conference, and I don't see any conflict at all. How do you feel about
the general strike that's supposed to happen on October 15th?
I fully think that we need a general strike, a regularly occurring general strike. I was super inspired by the Yellow Vest protests in France, and I'm happy to see that they are doing that again. But I've heard there may be some I don't know. There may be some issues with the October 15th. There may not be. I don't know. I just heard some random things, and hopefully it goes on as scheduled, and hopefully a bunch of people participate. I will be.
How are you, like, what is your job? Like, what field? You don't have to give me your exact employer, but what field do you work in?
Oh, I'm a homemaker.
Okay.
I used to be a pharmacy technician, and I broke something in my back that's never going to heal.
I understand.
Now I'm a homemaker.
Well, okay, so you're not going to go up to work. Do you work for yourself? Are you self-employed, or?
Well, I meant that I wasn't going to be shopping or anything like that.
Okay, all right.
Obviously, I'm not gonna refuse to make my kids lunch or dinner.
Sure. Okay, so yeah, I personally think a general strike needs, like, I don't think a single day general strike is going to do much. Other than a show of power.
Yeah.
And I don't think that we have enough power and there's enough organizations that are working with this October 15th deadline that it's going to amount to anything. I think there's a lot of people I see online that are willing, that are like, there's a lot of people in that orbit that are saying, I'm just not going to show up to work on the 15th. And I don't know if that's a good strategy, because if you get fired and then no one else participates in the strike, that's the danger of advocating for a strike. Is that I think people could end up making bad decisions based on it. And I also don't know if we have enough power. But we also, one of my big things...
I agree with that.
Yeah, I agree that a general strike is something we need to strive for. We need to build that power base. And I don't think that trashing politicians like AOC and Bernie Sanders all day is congruent, or you can make a general strike organization by doing that, because Bernie Sanders and AOC and politicians like them do have the ear of labor, and they do work closely with labor organizations and unions. And so I think that we should be building those bridges and not tearing them down. And that's why I have such a problem with how the Fred Hampton leftists and network and Jimmy Dore go after Bernie Sanders and AOC, because I don't see them as building those power structures. I see them as presenting alternative solutions and doing nothing to get there.
Well, let's talk about AOC, since she's been the main topic of Jimmy Dore, and you keep bringing up their take on AOC. She had a PAC that she had people donating to that said this is a grassroots PAC, and none of this money is going to go to any corporate Democrat. And then she turned around and gave a bunch of money to corporate Democrats, and several of them had primary challengers coming, including Eva Putsova. She donated to his corporate opponent, and she voted present on the $2 billion police bill. She voted present to allow Israel to have another $1 billion for the Iron Dome, and nobody's calling this out. Nobody on the media is calling this out. And so, even if you think Jimmy Dore's an asshole, I can use those words on your show.
Oh, yeah, you can say fuck, shit, whatever.
Yeah, cool. Even if you think Jimmy Dore's an asshole because he's saying, fuck you, AOC, you're corrupt, he's serving a purpose because he's showing people what she's doing. Nobody else is doing that.
Well, define nobody else.
I mean, who else is pointing out AOC's bad votes when AOC doesn't? Who else is saying AOC voted for the $1 billion Israel bill?
Well, she voted
present. By voting present.
I made a video about that yesterday or the day before.
She voted for it by voting present. She allowed it to happen on purpose by voting present. That's basically voting for it.
I mean, personally disagree with that. Like, if her vote was the, Joe Manchin vote, and it was just her, and, it all boiled down to that, I would agree with you. But, I mean, that shit was... She
voted no, and then you could see Nancy Pelosi over in the corner scolding her, and she changed her vote to present so that it would pass.
Well, I mean, it was going to pass regardless, though.
It was. She can't even give a performative no, and that's the problem. And that's why people like Jimmy Dore and Fred Hampton leftists are important, because they're the ones saying she can't even give a performative no. And that's important because everybody else... There are so many liberal Democrats who are just like, AOC, that it's important to, for somebody to be showing them, hey, you know what? She's not, I mean, she has good votes too. I don't hate AOC. I think, like any politician, you work with her on policies that you can get her to agree with you. Like the Green New Deal. Yeah, absolutely. Work with her. And it's the same with Rand Paul. If you want to promote peace, you work with people who want to promote peace. And if so, I mean, it's not like I could expect her to be perfect, but if she's going to go up there and call herself a socialist and a radical leftist and say I'm with the people, then I expect her to be protesting outside the Met Gala and not going to this $30,000 event, with a performative message on her dress.
Well, I do disagree with a lot of
I don't know how she paid for it.
But, I'm not, a rabid supporter of AOC. Like, if you watch my video from the other day on the Iron Dome thing, I criticized her heavily. But at the same time, I do think that there are, when you're a politician, there are political calculations you make. A lot of people say that, a lot of things, for example, when Bernie Sanders was going out there doing, Fox News town halls, a lot of people got upset with that because why would you give Fox News any oxygen? I think that there are ways you can work with people like Tucker Carlson. I think there are ways you can work with right-wingers. But, I think expanding them and pulling them left without, that's my thing, is you want to bring people to the left. So I think AOC is also worried about, redistricting. That's what I've been hearing in her apology. Did you read her apology letter on the Iron Dome thing?
I tried to. It was just word salad. I couldn't find an explanation in there. I can actually tell you there's actually a better explanation than anybody else has ever given, which is she's got a lot of Jews in her district and she's trying not to offend her voters, which totally makes sense. I have no problem with that. I'm Jewish myself. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't have voted for it. I'm an anti-Zionist Jew, but I understand that she has voters and she needs to get reelected.
Sure. Yeah, no, absolutely. And that's the thing is, I feel like now my personal thing is Jamal Bowman voted yes for the Iron Dome, which is a lot worse than voting present. And maybe I missed it, but I don't see anyone on the Jimmy Dore sphere talking about Jamal Bowman. And so I just don't understand.
Fred Hampton leftist did.
Okay, well, that's good for them.
Nick Cruz made a 20-minute video, and he just almost exclusively talked about how much I didn't even want to use his words, but he's really mad at Jamal Bowman and calling him out because he replaced Elliot Engel, who is this Zionist, and he's voting the exact same way.
Sure, I mean, yeah, I have a lot of problem with that. My thing is, I think we got to work with the people that we are able to work with. Like, if we did not have, let's say, like, we're back in, like, the 2014 Congress or whatever, and we didn't have the squad, or, like, most leftist person was, like, Bernie Sanders, right? I would advocate to work with whoever's the most left-wing in Congress, right? Does that mean I agree with everything they do? Obviously not. But my thing is, I really don't understand why big channels, like I agree with calling them out and criticizing them when they do things that are wrong. But the focus, like the focus that they do, every time AOC does anything, it's a huge scandal. I just don't think that that's a useful way to build bridges and networks. That's just my opinion. But because also the existence of the squad allows us...
I think...
Go on.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Oh, I think the existence of the squad and more left-wing politicians makes it easier to criticize the corporate Democrats as well. Like, there's a very big distinction and a line being drawn in the sand of those who support the Green New Deal and those who don't know what the Green Dream is, right? Like, I think that the existence of these politicians in Congress serves such a big function, and I would rather focus on that. I would say, like, yes, AOC and Jamal Bowman and, Ilhan Omar and stuff, they make problematic votes every now and then. But I would rather focus on what the difference is and how much better they are compared to Nancy Pelosi and all that group. Because I feel like they don't get enough coverage. I feel like the Jimmy Dore Network and stuff don't cover Nancy Pelosi as well as they should, and they just focus on attacking AOC. And I do think you should criticize AOC when she makes bad moves. But I would rather, if I had a show with 1 million subscribers, I mean, I would not be talking about AOC every day. I would be talking about, like, I would probably do a series where I just go in and attack the entire Republican Party. I would attack the Democratic Party, sans, like, a couple people. And I also noticed that Jimmy Dore never really attacks Republicans. I don't know. It's just a weird trend for me.
I think he's attacks Republicans as well. I think that, especially, a year or two into the Trump regime, he got sick of it or something, but he definitely calls out Republicans. I think that the thing, and he calls out Nancy Pelosi a lot, especially with the insider trading stuff.
Sure.
I think the thing with AOC, I think it got personal for him because she responded to one of his... Well, first of all, she responded... he went after Mark Pocan first, not AOC. And then she responded in some kind of gaslighting way, but then she called his words violence. And he took that as her trying to get him demonetized off YouTube and kicked off Twitter, which is, she's attacking a podcaster's career. And so I think he took that personally, and that's why he's really angry with AOC, because how for the people can you be if you're going after podcasters to end their career?
Well, I mean, I think that's definitely an overreaction. I don't think AOC was trying to get Jimmy Dore banned. But, I mean, I do disagree in the sense that words are not literally violence. They are not absolutely synonymous, though words can lead to violence, as we saw in, like, January 6th, for example. The president saying that the election was stolen over and over led to violence. A lot of people got hurt. So I do think words can lead to violence, and I do think that that's something that's like exploring as a concept. But I don't know. Do you want to talk about anything else besides AOC, or are you comfortable? What's up?
I think I'm comfortable.
Sure. All right.
We just founded the Napa Institute of Peace a couple weeks ago.
Who's we?
We is me and whoever is showing up to protests. I was out protesting for peace with some Unitarians and Quakers out just yesterday. So that's kind of a new thing that's just starting, just picking up steam.
And where is that?
Napa, California.
All right.
That is the heart of Wine Cave territory.
Uh-oh. You're deep in the enemy terrain?
Very much so. And I keep, I've run for Congress twice here, and I keep trying to call some attention to this area.
What party
It's natural. Well, I ran as Green Party in 2018, and then I ran as Democrat in 2020 because my opponent wasn't debating, and so I thought this way he'd have to debate me at least at the Democratic clubs. But he just sent his surrogates, and they lied about him not taking corporate money.
How many votes did you, just that for my own entertainment, how many votes did you get more running in as a Democrat, or?
Not much more, a few hundred more. I got about 5,900 votes, which really wasn't great, but this is like really neoliberal territory right here.
Sure.
Yeah, and I've been trying to and it's so natural for people to pay attention to places like Detroit or Los Angeles or New York, where there's a lot of poverty and a lot of police violence. But here in Napa, this is where you have so much money going into the corrupt political system. And I'm trying to be like, hey, we're the ones funding them here. It's got to stop.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Is there anything you want to advertise? Do you have any pages set up for all that, or?
We're on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, but no website yet.
Okay. What's the name of whatever you're?
We made it the Napa Institute for Peace.
Okay.
And it may never even be a website. It's just, people protesting and sharing, truth that's not being on the mainstream media.
I mean, that's good stuff, definitely. I don't know if you follow my channel too much, but I've been out here protesting in my city over police shootings. So I'm definitely a big fan of on-the-ground action. I think that's where the main politic is going to be, is, because when you get people together in real life on the ground, there's there's already that level of commitment compared to if you're just watching a YouTube video. People are already out of the house. They're already working together, doing something. And I do think that we need to work on that as a left in America. We need to work on just, protest whatever, protest gas prices, protest water prices, protest anything and everything, in my opinion, because eventually someone's going to walk up and say, what is going on here? And then they're going to join you. And then that's how you can build organizations. So that's super cool.
Absolutely. Yeah. I live 5 minutes north of Vallejo, California. Ever heard of it?
Nope.
Yeah, police violence is unfortunately a really huge issue here. We've had, I think, 37 police killings of unarmed black and brown people in the last 20 years, I think. And the police here have, when the surviving family members come forward and speak to the media, the police have gone to the media and smeared them. They've followed them around town and shown spotlights on their house in the middle of the night to let them know we're watching you. And
that's fucked up shit.
Pretty, when they say police terror, they mean police terror.
You may have noticed earlier in my show today, before I brought you on, I do a segment called Officer Down. Now, I don't want to say I celebrate officers dying, but I do make note of it because they are not invulnerable. They are humans in some capacity, and sometimes they die. And so I think that we all need a little bit of happiness sprinkled into our lives. So, but I am not a fan of cops. That's my. What do you think about cops, in general? What's your take?
I know good cops. I have a friend who's a retired cop who's a city council member here,
okay.
And there are good cops. There are bad cops. I think that the policing system causes a lot of the problems. I think that racism causes problems, and mental disorders like PTSD and drug abuse cause a lot of the problems. And the thin blue line where they all defend each other, that I mean, it's pretty fucked up. But I know that there are good cops. Last year, was it the year before? It was last year. An officer had to shoot somebody here in Napa,
They had
and
to?
when they reported that an officer shot somebody, a lot of people jumped to conclusions. Oh yeah, another police shooting. But when they released the footage, the police officer had pulled this person over, and he got out of the car with a rifle in his hand and was acting insane. And I mean, I don't know what issues he was having, but the officer was defending her life, and sometimes it does have to go that way.
Well, I mean, I personally think that there could be other solutions other than shooting them. But, I mean, it's possible, not every shooting is blatant execution. There's always the spectrum of, justification. Now, personally, I don't think there ever is justification. I think that I think that there can always be alternative solutions. I also think the cops shouldn't be doing traffic stops. I think traffic stops should be, give them a ticket later kind of a thing. I mean, like I covered on my show earlier.
I fully agree.
Yeah, traffic stops usually just turn deadly because for both sides, the cop doesn't know what's in the other person's car, and the other person doesn't know if that cop's going to kill them. Because frankly, a lot of cops end up killing people at traffic stops. So like I would be on edge, if I had a gun and I could drive a car. I don't know how to drive a car. I also don't have a gun. Or maybe I do. You never know. But I would feel on edge if a guy with a gun was like lumbering up to my door. That seems interesting. But anyway,
sure.
I'm probably going to be wrapping up pretty soon here. Is there anything else you want to talk about? Any other topics? Anything you want to shout out?
Not really.
All right. What would you rate this show as? Like, is this a decent performance? Did I give you a hard time?
Not so much. I've enjoyed the debate. It's been civil. I've had a fun time.
Okay.
I'll give it a 9.
A 9? Is that out of 100?
A 9. No, out of 10.
Oh, wow.
You asked me to rate it.
Okay.
You asked me to rate it.
Is that like out of 1,000,
I've had fun.
Like a really low rating?
No, it's out of 8.
Oh no. Well, all right. So I appreciate you coming on. I always like to learn a little bit more about why I disagree with people, and I've been trying to get people to come on to discuss the Jimmy Dore stuff, but usually they don't do it. So I appreciate you for coming on.
Glad to. And for the record, I've never met Jimmy Dore. I'm not his friend. I am not Jimmy Dore's representative. I'm just sharing what my views are.
Sure.
What I've observed.
Absolutely. All right. So I'm gonna hang up. You're getting banned from the stream. I'm going to cut your mic. It's over.
Damn it.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, but it's just the way it has to be. So thank you all for watching.
Have a good one.
Thank you for coming on the show. All right. That's it. It happened. All right. Let me get this back up, set up. Okay. How was that, folks? How was that? Huh? I tried my best. Let me just tell you. I tried my best. I was looking at the chat, and y'all were a little mean. A little mean, I have to say. Not necessarily disagreeing with anyone in the chat, but little mean. It was definitely I try to be nice when I have people on the show. I don't want to this is how I have conversations. My thing is I love to learn. I really love to learn about why people think a certain way. I really for me, I get more out of conversations like this when I really pry their brain and ask them why they think things. Like, I disagreed with Jason on quite a lot, but I really just want to know why they think the things that they think and stuff. So that's my main thing. That's what I'm after in these conversations, is I want to know exactly why people are under the impressions that they are under. Because I am not under the impression that one conversation can pull someone out of something. So I'd rather know why people think that way and then utilize that knowledge elsewhere. But there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. For sure. But, what are you going to do? There's always a lot going on. The world just, it's a big world. It's a really large world. But I hope that I got my points across. Decently. I hope that, I didn't, I hope that everything that we disagreed on, it was clear what my position was. So that's what I'm hoping. Hello, Elvis in the chat. What's up? So yeah, I am going to be ending the show here. I gotta pee. So thank you all for watching. Yeah, I don't know what the had to shoot someone thing was about, but what are you gonna do? I gave my opinion on that. It's just there's a lot going on, folks. There's a lot going on. Is this thing on? Is this stream on? Is this working? Did I say that, Mr. Freak? I don't know if I said that. Jimmy Dore was right all along. I mean, that I did say. I know that. I don't know if I did say that. I'm pretty sure that didn't happen. But it might have happened. I will admit that it's very possible. But it was probably in the middle of me trying to be charitable. So that was probably, hypothetical. I'm pretty sure. But, what are you going to do? Anyway, I got to pee, folks. So I am going to be ending the stream. But yeah, needless to say, I disagree with a lot of what Jason was presenting. But, I'm not out here trying to score points. I'm just trying to understand why people think the way that they think. And I haven't gotten someone that really likes Jimmy Dore on the show before. They all, always, without fail, refuse to come on the show. So this is like, the first of hopefully many. So, I believe I was saying they might not necessarily be racist at the outset, but they're on the side of racists in a potential civil war. So I believe you're misquoting me. 3 of Dimmy's last 100 clips are going after Republicans. That is interesting. So anyway, I've got to pee. So the show is over. It's done. This is all you get. And that's it. That's all you got. Thank you for coming and joining me in this day, watching whatever it was that you watched. I don't even know what you watched, because I didn't watch it. What do you think, I watch my own stream? Is that what you think? You think I'm sitting here just staring at myself on camera, saying like, oh wow, look at that person on oh wait, that's me. You think I'm watching the stream? I'm not watching the stream. I don't give a shit. I don't give a fucking shit. I did say that general strikes are stupid. That's true. That's factual. I'm just stretching. Don't mind me. Actually, you should mind me. Never forget that I presented to you the best possible goddamn in the history of goddamn. And with that being said,
get back in the business of creating a more peaceful world. Please clap.
No good, really bad for you.
That the most potent force in the Republican Party is President Trump. We need Trump plus.
I get 10 to 12 million views a month, and they won't come. They're not accountable to anyone. They're not accountable. Who isn't endorsing hashtag the vote? All those motherfuckers who didn't show up today at our town hall. Every fucking one of them is selling you out and canceling you for their own personal gain.
So notice something. I defended him on his bad joke because I have standards and I have principles.
I hate the white man. He's of the devil. He was made in a cave in the worst parts of Europe, produced from the lowest forms of humanity.
I eat extra sharp. That's what I eat.